Hi, I'm McCullough. I'm going to be having some PGA Tour videos every week, trying to help you decide who to bet on, look through the field, look through the course, a few little things to just help you if you're putting some money down or you just want to have a little more interest in the tournament or a certain player, something like that. I'm not going to go through the whole field. Nobody has time for that. This week we've got the Sony Open. They're playing at Waialae Country Club, par 70. It's the second of 2 weeks that the PGA Tour is playing over in Hawaii. Then they're going to make the trek to California. Congratulations to Xander Schauffele for his win last week. But on to this week. It's the first full field tournament of 2019. So with that being said, the top 70 in ties will make the cut. TV times for this week, Thursday to Sunday, basically 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. on the Golf Channel all week. There's a bit of variation, half an hour here and there, but basically tune in between 6 and 7. You're going to be able to catch some of the golf on the Golf Channel. Previous winners of this event the last 5 years, the score's been around between minus 17 and minus 27. That minus 27 was when Justin Thomas shot 59 in the first round and kind of ran away with it, won by 7 shots. But you can't expect guys to go low here on this course. Enough of the talk about the tournament, about the course. Let's get in to breaking down the field. So every week I'm going to look at certain factors that are going to be put into my spreadsheet. I do a spreadsheet of the top 100 and ties based on the odds. I sort all the players by their odds. I rank that. I look at recent form. I give every player a rank for that. Tournament history. I rank everybody based on that. I have a key stats, which I'll get into in a second, and a simulator rank. So I have all these categories, and each one is ranked, and then I make an average and divide it, basically an average, and that gives me a final ranking for the entire field for the tournament. It may sound a little bit confusing, but you'll get the point. So this week's key stats are, every week I go with strokes gained total, strokes gained approach, a little bit of strokes gained tee to green, and a little bit of DraftKings points. That usually is my basis, and then I add in other stats to based on how the course is and stuff like that. So this week the stats I'm going to be adding in are going to be birdie opportunities gained and birdie opportunities gained, strokes gained on par 4s, and eagles. There's a couple gettable holes here, so I'm going to have some eagles. So let's get to the sheet. So I've divided the field into top 10, 11 to 50, and 50 to 100, plus ties, so it comes out to 105 players. As I said, I'm not going to go through the whole field because nobody has time for that. I don't want to sit here for an hour. You don't want to be listening for an hour. We want to get to our bets. So if you want to check out the whole spreadsheet, go to teeingoffblog.com. I'll post a link in the description. You can check out all of the intricacies there. But for now, let's get to the point. My top 5, after putting them through all the formulas and coming out on the other end of the spreadsheet, my top 5 with the odds to win. Number 1, I've got Gary Woodland. He is at 14 to 1. Gary obviously looked like he was going to win last week, going to the final round with a decent lead. He didn't, not like he fell back or anything, just Xander Schauffele came out and won the tournament. He played absolutely incredible. So Gary Woodland's main, basically all across the board, he was looking good. His odds are 14 to 1, as I mentioned. That's the third highest in the field. His last 2 months, he's played in 4 events. He's finished 2nd, 8th, 41st, and 10th. That rank is 2nd in the field for recent form. On this course, he's fared really well. Also, a 7th, a 6th, a 13th, and a 3rd place finish. That puts him 2nd in the field in terms of play on this course. On the simulator rank, now the simulator, I didn't go into that. The simulator rank is, I use fantasynational.com. They put the entire field through a simulation of over 1,000 events, simulated events, and give you, if you want to look at how many times they have each player winning, top 5, top 10, etc. So Woodland was 9th on my simulator, and in my stats ranks, he was 3. So all across the board, he's nothing worse than 3rd. So that's pretty impressive. He tops my list. Second, I've got Justin Thomas. He's only 7 to 1, so probably not going to actually place a bet on Justin, but he did come out as my second guy. Matt Kuchar at 40 to 1. He is my third place bet. Bryson DeChambeau at 10-1, 4th place in my rankings. And rounding out the top 5, the young gun Cameron Champ. So I feel like I'm going to put an outright bet on Woodland, Kuchar, DeChambeau, and Champ. Act accordingly, however you would like. My biggest jumps this week, so guys that started out, for example, Dominic Bizzelli is my number 1 mover this week. He is 88. He was 88th in the ranking based on odds, but after putting through my formula, he comes out at 48th. So he jumped 40 spots based on how he suits for this tournament. He is my top jumper. Sam Ryder, 45th to 16th in my rankings. He moved up 29 spots. He's my second biggest mover. And Cameron Davis moved from 59th to 36th. That's 23 spots. He is my third biggest mover. Biggest fades, the other end. Guys that I think are going to have bad weeks. So bet against these guys. Bubba Watson is my biggest fade. He went from 19th to 76th in my rankings. That's a drop of 57 spots. Brian Harman, second. He went from 26th to 71st. That's down 45 spots. And rounding up my bottom 3 movers, Russell Henley from 26th to 68th. That's 42 spots he's fallen. So if I could give you any main pieces of advice, do not bet on Bubba, Brian Harman, or Russell Henley to win this tournament. Now, here's where you can actually make money every week. If you're betting on the outright winner every week, you're usually, you can have the best everything, but it's rarely going to happen that you actually peg the winner. So the real way to make money and ensure that you're having some sort of cash flow every week is on the matchups. So I looked at all the matchups that were offered on mybookie.ag, which is the website I use. And there were 4 matchups that stuck out to me based on the biggest difference in my spreadsheet where they sat. So first up, I've got Russell Knox versus Pat Perez. I'm going with Pat Perez because he's 38 spots higher than Russell Knox in my rankings. Next up, Hideki Matsuyama versus Matt Kuchar. I'm going with Kuchar. Kuchar's ranked 3rd on my list. Matsuyama's ranked 41st. It's another 38 spots. So I'm going with Kuchar there. Now the 2 biggest, these ones coming up. The biggest matchup bet that I can recommend, that I'm going to be putting my biggest bet on this week, is Zach Johnson versus Bubba Watson. I've got Zach Johnson at 12th in my rankings as Bubba Watson sits 76th, as I mentioned before. That's a difference of 64 spots. So that's my number 1 biggest bet for the week. And rounding it out, number 2 in terms of matchups, I'm going to go Brian Harman versus Ian Poulter. Ian Poulter is 22nd in my rankings. Brian Harman sits 71st. So that is a gap of 49. So again, if you're looking at matchups, I like Pat Perez over Russell Knox, Matt Kuchar over Hideki Matsuyama, Zach Johnson over Bubba Watson, and Ian Poulter over Brian Harman. I'm also in a one-and-done pool, basically like a suicide for football. You can only choose a guy once in the season, and then it tallies your salary over the course of the year. So if anyone else is in that, I am going to go with Gary Woodland for my pick for the week. I generally wouldn't take my top player. However, you can only use a guy once in the year, and Gary Woodland isn't like a top. He wouldn't be at the top of my head of top 5 or 10 guys that I'm going to take for the year. So instead of just holding, I don't feel the need to hold him. He looks like he's in fine form right now. He's going to have a big week. Based on how he's performed here in the past and recently, it's almost a guarantee that he's going to have a good week. So he's my pick. My alternate is going to be Matt Kuchar. All right, so there you have it for the first RJ's betting corner for 2019. Any tips, any advice, anything you think I should add or subtract, let me know. Other than that, as I mentioned, if you want to see the actual full spreadsheet in its glory with a bit more information, you can check out teeingoffblog.com, link in the description. Thanks for listening, and I will talk to you next week.